Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Odyssey House Journals. We have thousands of viewers on YouTube and tens of thousands of listeners on all the podcast platforms. And it's just focused entirely on addiction and recovery. We've never had anybody here who's been high, have we?
Not that we know of.
Well, that we know of. And so generally we have people here who are in recovery because it's easier to get a hold of them than it is somebody out on the street who's high. Yeah. Although maybe we could rope somebody in someday.
It would be an interesting interview.
It'd be a weird podcast.
To say the least. Yeah.
I'm your host, Randall Carlisle. My co-host is Nicole Slack. And our guest today is Carmen Ramirez.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here.
Well, yeah. we're glad to have you. And a lot of people say, how do you find people who come in and bare their souls about all the crap they've gone through in their life? And I try to explain that people who are in true recovery, that's something they do because they've had to do that to get to the point of recovery. Got to be honest, right? And you have been in recovery for how long?
11 years.
Not that you're counting.
Right. No, not that I celebrate every year.
We're gonna talk a little about what you're doing now, but I want to get into. Tell me a little about your past and how you. I didn't even know until today that you were a proud graduate of Odyssey.
Yeah.
And tell us how it all began.
I graduated 10 years ago, but I was in active addiction for 17 years. I suffered, years in prison, jail, and at the end of it, for my last time I was incarcerated, and I was just like, I almost died. And
from being dope sick?
Yes, I was so dehydrated in jail, and they couldn't get a PICC line or a line in to give me fluids. And they ended up giving me Suboxone in jail, which was absolutely unheard of in my day, at least.
Yeah, now it's something that they routinely do in the Salt Lake County Jail. Before you continue with your story, describe for people who are not familiar with it, what it's like being dope sick.
Oh, it's hell on earth. Like, how I describe it is like every pore from your body is screaming. You're throwing up. You're, using the restroom uncontrollably. You're just hot flashes. You're cold. You're hot. It's just miserable. And emotionally, you're just, you're lost. You don't know what to do.
I've had people say they think they're going to die. And you almost did.
Yeah. So I was, they saved my life, and they gave me a low dose Suboxone. And I was in the medical unit up in the jail, and I thought to myself, and I said this earlier, like, I just have to try. I want to try. All the years of telling people like, oh, I'm going to do it, ha. Yeah. And finally, I'm just going to try. So I got out of jail, and I went to BOA detox. And I lied and said that I had been using just to get a bed because I wanted an assessment to see. And to be perfectly honest, I always knew it would be Odyssey. I always knew in the back of my head that Odyssey, just because of the TC, the treatment community, and, I needed a lot of trauma care. I had a lot in prison, but I knew it would be Odyssey. And so I went in there. They did my assessment. I went to Haven Sober Living. I lived there. I signed up for Odyssey and signed up for hair school. All the things, it was like one foot in front of the other, and everything fell into place as I didn't believe it, though. Every day I was like, you live that imposter syndrome. Like, yeah. I can't believe this is me. This isn't me, and the first couple years were hard because I was telling Randall, like, my neural pathways went to the point where they were like, when things were rough, I wouldn't be like, oh, you're going to be okay. It would be like, God, I want to be high so bad. I don't want to have to deal with anything like this. And it just started to be habit, like, one foot in front of the other. And it felt really good. It felt right. It felt like I was where I was supposed to be.
And your motivation, though, if you think about it, she said, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Were you convinced that you could succeed? No.
I wasn't. No. I don't think I was convinced that I could succeed until I would say 6 months into my treatment at IOP, Odyssey IOP. It was, I had a really, a good trauma group. I worked with Christy Johnson in her trauma group.
It was marvelous.
Oh, I love her so much. So I have gurus through this whole thing, who taught me a different way. And Christy's thing with me was like, of course you feel that way. Of course that's why you do this. Of course, so it was real impactful to me. And I moved up through the program. I worked an honest, good, hard program. And, I was house soup. So I was busy. I was house soup. I was in hair school. I was, in treatment. I was busy. So that was the key. And when people, like when I go share my story, like at the houses or I talk to people, I'm always like, the key is to put one stone in front of the other and walk on that stone and stay busy. Everything you've never done, do now, like work, school, So, and it's just been amazing. I'm, married to my soulmate now, and he's a normie, he's not in recovery, but he understands it and gets it. And, we bought a home. I own a home. Like, who would have ever thought, I run across people still who go, oh my gosh, you're Carmen? I thought you were dead,
I remember you on the street years ago.
Yeah.
Through the 17 years of addiction, what was your drug of choice and what kinds of experiences did you have?
It was heroin and cocaine. Miserable. Lots of running, with the police and out in the State Street group and just out there. It was rough. It's so weird because now I would get in any car. I would go anywhere. I don't care. I had no sense of being scared of anything. I just was too high. And it was so weird. I just went on a work trip for my company to Oregon. And I called my uncle and I'm like, I'm not going to get in an Uber. What if I get kidnapped?
I don't know this person.
I don't know this person. And I was thinking to myself, who are you?
Back in the days on State Street. Hello.
Hi. Yeah. And so, of course, I've seen people I know die over the years, lost good friends. And, I lost my kids. My kids had to get I'd have to read them books from prison. Like I'd read on a tape and mail it to them at Christmas time. I never was active and present in their lives.
That's sad.
Yeah. And I was in and out of prison because I was a drug addict. I never could stay sober. And my crime was possession of drugs. And it was weird. They never offered treatment at getting out. I did do Orange Street, which I was pretty successful for a while there. But they never said, hey, Carmen, do you want to go to treatment? It was always just like...
I wonder why.
Back then, I just don't think they were still in the mindset of, we need to criminalize addiction. And if we send them away to prison, which was good for me because it was like God's hospital for me. I'd go in and heal and get better. You know what I mean?
I've never heard that. Have you ever heard that?
No.
I was in God's hospital for several years.
That's what I'd always considered it for me, was just the time to heal and get better. And of course I'd get out and destroy myself again,
What was it? Why do you, so many people, and we've asked people this too, somebody said my life was so miserable while I was using, and then you say, well, then why did you keep using?
Right. I didn't know any other way. I didn't have the tools. We've all had therapy and here and there, but I think for me, I just didn't know. I didn't have a sense of self. I didn't know who I was. I didn't have an identity because my identity for so long was Carmen the addict, Carmen, in trouble, Carmen, incapable of living. And I just, that I never knew how to live. And so I had to learn. And that's why it was like, when I talk to people, it's like one step at a time. You do this. This is a win. This is a celebration. You have a job. You're paying bills. So it was, I didn't know who I was. And I was able to learn that, like through going through IOP, was who I was and, what I wanted for myself, It's weird because like the last 11 years, I wrapped almost my whole missed life in those 11 years. And it's not like I have regret. I believe I went through what I needed to go through. I believe I'm the person I am today because of what I went through. And I'm able to help other people.
I think we've all said that. I mean, do you feel that way? I feel like I'm stronger because I went through what I went through.
I think I'm listening to you right now, hearing you say like you don't regret, and I'm not there yet. I still have so many regrets.
Yeah.
I'm only at like almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to be at that point because as of right now, I feel like I missed so much and I'm so happy everything's on the up,
Yes.
but so much missed. So I can't wait to be where you are.
Yeah. And believe me, the first few years, I felt like, I regret doing this to my mom. Like I lied to my mom and told her I had cancer so she'd send me money.
You're kidding.
No. And
That's really bad.
I know. And they flew here from California to some made up doctor that I had and sent him up to the U. And that's why she didn't talk to me for a long time. But all these things, like if I live in that, because you make amends, right? You make amends to the people you have harmed. And you do that, but you can't live in regret because if you do, for me, it just takes me back to that sad, miserable space that I was in for so long that I was beating myself up. And so now it's like I live with intention and purpose. You know what I mean? And everything I do, in the beginning too, like you were saying, like, why didn't I do it or whatever? But now I live like, see, I told you I can do it. It was like this motto, like I knew it, I got it, I did it, And so, but the thing is too with me and throughout, I worked at the adult house for a while, the first year after I graduated. And it was like, I would tell the clients, like, I'm no better than you. I'm equal to you. We're both people in recovery. Just because I have more time, that doesn't matter to me, We're the same, we're on the same level. And that was real. That's how I felt the whole time. I felt no better than anybody. If I saw somebody, asking for money at the corner store, I'd give them a couple dollars, but I'd also give them the spiel. Like I used to be where you're at. Believe it or not. I mean, I've been in jail. I've been to prison. I was an addict just like you out here. And they're like, what? No, no, you weren't, So.
And so how's your relationship with your kids now?
So
after recording, I can't even imagine what that was like. And that must have been so sad. I picture that. Mm-hmm. You speaking into a tape recorder, reading a book to them,
yes,
getting that tape to them, and then them listening to it and saying, who's that? Well, that's our mom.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sad.
So my son is amazing. He just graduated Odyssey and he'll be in the next gala. He has hit the ground running too. He was struggling, and he has a little boy, my grandson, who's 6, and he's an amazing father. And so our relationship is solid, and we have a very good, healthy relationship now. My daughter, we have our times. She left AMA, Odyssey, so against
medical advice.
Yeah, and struggling in her addiction. And she suffered a lot, and so I get it, you know what I mean? But I think the thing is that I've made a boundary. Like you can't use my past as your excuse to continue.
Well, you did it, so can I.
Yeah. No. I don't co-sign that at all. You know what I mean? And I think that we struggle with each other because of that. I love my kids. They're my world. I think they're the shining light in my darkest days that kept me going, and kept me able to fight through this and live through this, because I knew at the end that I'd get to be in their life again one day and
be proud
and
of
be
yourself.
proud. Yeah. And set an example for them. And that's what I've done, everything. So when my son came to me and needed, to get help, he was in Idaho in jail. And my Odyssey family was like, here's a letter, give it to the judge. He can come to Odyssey. When he got out and came to administration, they were like, yep, let's get him in. We don't have any beds right now, but we'll find a way. And they did. So.
Well, talk about what your story about genetic predisposition. I mean, it's incredible.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it runs in my family generations. And
Mine too. Mine too.
And yours too?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's so simple. Like,
Right.
if
Yeah.
runs in your family don't do it,
Yeah.
would be enough, but no.
No.
My mom said, she's 97, and so we talked, she's glad that I'm sober now. And she said, and I think I started drinking at 13 or something. Mm-hmm. And she said, if I would have told you when you were 13 that alcoholism runs in our family for generations, and so you're much more likely to become an alcoholic if you drink, would you have stopped drinking? No, I'm not going to be an alcoholic. An alcoholic is that bum on the street corner with the brown paper bag, not me.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah. The things we tell ourselves. So that what you just said, like predisposition, like for sure, I think it runs. And I think I remember the first time I tried heroin, I just was, because I had always been a high-strung, hyperactive kid. I was real shaky and, zooming all over the place. And the first time I did heroin, I just was like, it was like everything was quiet. It was calm and peaceful, not real peace, right?
Right.
But that's how I felt. And it just destroyed me. It just destroyed me. And, looking back, hindsight being 2020, like I said, I'm glad that I went through what I went through, because I feel like now, and I tell myself this, and I mean, it might sound crazy, but I really believe that I chose this path, before even coming here. Like, I knew I needed to live this life to be where I'm at now, because now in my position I'm in, I work in behavioral health, and I'm able to talk to families that are going through it, and they're fighting their insurance companies, and they're battling, my kid won't get sober, my kid won't, and I'm able to be empathetic and share, like, don't give up hope. Don't give up hope.
That was me.
Mm-hmm, that was me. There's no shame in my game. Like, I'm always like, this is where I come from. When I worked for Regis, and they would promote me to salon manager and district leader and senior district leader, my boss, I remember her going, yeah, we got your background. I can't believe that's you. I go, I know, right? So, but it was so. But the thing is that I always tell people to, like, hire a felon in recovery. Like, hire somebody in recovery. They are going to work their butt off for you. Like, they're going to give you the amount of work that one regular person gives you, because they're out to prove something. They're out to show that they can do this.
They can do it.
Yeah.
And you wear a lot of hats now. Nicole saw. Did you say you have beautiful hair?
Your
when
hair's
you saw her?
fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
do have beautiful hair, and there's a reason why.
Right. So I own my own little hair salon, which in my house. So I do hair on Saturday, Sunday. And then I also work for Prosperity Behavioral Health. So I work in the behavioral health industry. I'm a customer success manager over about 14 facilities nationwide. And
Which means what?
which means that I manage facilities to be better at what they're doing to provide the care that they need to provide for people in recovery.
So are you the bad woman who's coming to town to check out the facility, saying we got to clean up our act because she's here to check us out?
I'm more of I'm more nicer. I'm like, I come in and like, we just went to Oregon. Oregon was definitely touching to me and impactful for me. And so we go out there, we tour the facilities and, give some guidance and also boots on the ground advice too. Like, reach out to the drug court system, reach out to, the VA hospitals, reach out to the hospitals, and kind of guide them as how to approach where they need to go. And I work with local facilities here in the Valley, and I've learned so much about this industry. And I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, hair and recovery. So I get to live my dream every day of something I'm passionate about. I feel like I'm giving back something. And the company I work for, they have a lot of integrity surrounding what we're doing for these facilities, and what we're offering. And we want them to serve the community. Let us handle all of the back end. Let us handle everything. And we're doing good. We're doing good things. And it's cool when you have the mix of people in the industry. So you have people like C-suite executive, but you also have people that are in active recovery. And so they have a lot more to offer on that level to these facilities, so.
Is it fair to say that not all recovery places are good?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. There's forums all over Facebook about, yeah.
What do you find the weaknesses are of the places that are not so good?
I think there's a lot of facilities, like not with our company, but that I've seen that, they're just trying to get bodies in the door. They're not actively providing the service like the Odyssey does on that level, or like, my company requires our facilities to provide. There's bodies in the door, billing insurance, and not,
And marketing people get bonuses for getting people in the doors.
Right. I consider it trafficking in a way. It's body trafficking. Like, so I feel real fortunate though to be a part of the good side of it, and getting to see the success in it. So.
How can people know if they're looking for a place for treatment? How can they know whether it's good or bad and what the chances of success are?
Yeah, I would say Google reviews, accreditation is important, like JCO accreditation. Definitely like the Google reviews. Talk to the alumni, that everyone has an alumni,
Sure.
And which is brilliant, by the way, to utilize your alumni team to market and get people,
Well, they know better than anybody.
Right.
Right.
And just, they'll know, like going in the door, like, is this shady or what? Like, what am I doing all day? Programming, it has to be, that's what sets people up for success, is starting in the inpatient, like with groups all day, teaching people a new way to live, also teaching them, their triggers, their, what's holding them back, and then keeping them productive 8 hours of the day. You know what I mean? Facilities that don't do that and they're just housing people to house them and fill a bed, I would say stay clear of that for sure.
How about the ones that advertise private chefs, massages every day for $50,000 a month or whatever?
A 28-day, and we give you like life on the beach. I'd say no, stay far away from that too. Stay far, far away from that. You need something that, I remember I told you, I always knew it would be Odyssey because I asked, like, what's the program like? What do you do there?
It's hard.
It's hard, yeah. And work, yeah, definitely. I mean, and it was work, but it was like good quality work, And I was fortunate, like I said, to have a therapist in prison who was my start of my trauma work that I did. And I mean, when I got to Odyssey, I had done 5 years of trauma work already, like in between getting out and going back to craziness and then coming back. And so, yeah,
I think there's something to be said, though, for going through a program and just not using and going through a program to do the work and do the therapy and get to the core of it.
yes.
I'll see people go through Odyssey and they'll leave against medical advice or things are going on and they're like, well, I was sober for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back through and be like, I did it different this time. I actually worked with my
Right.
therapist, talked about my triggers.
Yeah.
I did it. I actually did it this time. I wasn't just working to not be under the influence. I was sober,
Yeah.
but I did the work.
Well, because in all actuality, and this is how I view it, I think that's the symptom, right? Addiction is the symptom of what our real core issues are, like trauma, sexual abuse, all the things that lead to it's easier to be high, you know what I mean, than to deal with all the core, And so, I mean, I remember walking out of therapy sessions, I had used like a whole box of Kleenex, and it was so empowering, like throwing away that box of Kleenex that I just cried through. So I knew I was doing hard work. I felt it. I just wanted to just get it all out of me. I just wanted someone to tell me I wasn't crazy. I had my mom convinced for a long time, like, Carmen needs to do drugs. She's so, she needs it. And it was so cool, like, that sharing everything with, my therapists and my peers and saying, right, I mean, do you see? And well, yeah, here we do see, but this is the new way. This is how you're going to live now.
And it's so much easier than going through a box of Kleenex to just numb yourself and
Yeah.
not deal with it.
Yes. Yeah. And just to say it out of your mouth,
You impressed me before we started recording, telling me about how you give back to one of our programs.
yes.
Tell me about.
Yeah, I've cut hair at the men's mental health program. I've cut hair at the women's mental health program multiple times. Matter of fact, I'm due back. So I got to get it.
I bet they
Yeah,
love
they're
you.
like, when are you coming? Ellen's always like, when are you coming? And it's just, I'm so busy all the time. But yeah, and then I get to go there and each girl that sits in my chair or each guy, I'm like, so, and they're surprised to hear, like, I'm in recovery too. And I'm able to love on them and make them feel good about themselves again. And just talk to them for a minute. Somebody like, instead of, I'm not a staff, I'm not a
Right.
therapist. I'm just like them,
And a little act of kindness makes so much of a difference to some of our clients.
Yeah. And I'm a hugger. I hug everybody. I just love on them. And, so
Well, one of our clients that has talked about you was so scared of people, and we can say her name because she was on a podcast. Joan,
yeah.
went through our mental health program, and when we took her to a salon in Bountiful for the first time of ever anybody washing her hair or cutting it or anything like that, she pulled back and don't touch me.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
she calmed down, and now she's a big hugger.
I know.
It's
I love
wonderful.
her. I love Joan.
Yeah, we all do.
I know.
Yeah. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for sharing your story. Of
course.
Hopefully, people listening to this who maybe have a loved one who sounds like you used to be will say, there's hope,
There's hope.
right?
Yep. There's hope for sure.
Thanks, Carmen.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you too.
And thank you for watching or listening to another edition of Odyssey House Journals.